Aloha, friends and neighbors. Welcome to show 885. Rollin Frost here, Kona astrologer. I'm a little ticked off today. Listen, about 10 days ago you had a eclipse, a solar eclipse at 11 Scorpio. It was very close to Saturn. Saturn is this traditional authority stuff. I guess, let's see, let me just get to the point. I'm really unhappy with the system in this country for several reasons, and here's a couple of the symptoms of what we're up against. Our politicians have spent a year lollygagging around gay marriage. Why, this little minority that wants their sexual habits stuck into the law, I don't believe it. We must look like clowns to the rest of the world, and all these politicians happily go along debating these things. And okay, so what happened to the drug war? What happened to legalizing pot, period? No, they'd rather talk about gay people. My God. La La Land. So our leaders are not very responsible. Why not? What's going on? Another example. They're talking about cutting entitlements and food stamps and things. And incredibly, nobody has ever mentioned the inflated war budget. All the black budget, the NSA. We spend more money on guns, armaments, DOD, than the rest of the world combined. A politician, what, you've never heard one of them even think about, well, we could slash the defense by 30% and everybody'd have free health care. What's going on? Something's going on with these politicians that they're scared. They stay in safe ground. They're very careful. I think even our fashion of electing them, for years I've wondered, how is it that all these elections come out 51-49? How is it that Gore is thrown out over 100 votes in Florida? How come these votes are all so close, 50-50? Would you like Pepsi-Cola or Coca-Cola? Would you like this white bread or that white bread? The very problem of the election is a bad one. It needs review. And the lack of courage that these people have needs review. The first thing you could do is just elect them. You know, the Greeks used to just draft the people of intellect and education and family and property, and they just draft them for a few years and say, you're going into government, and then you can get out. It's like you draft a young man into the army. And then maybe we've had some men of courage. I mean, who's in the army now? When I was in the army, drafted people like me still kept their heads. You couldn't get them to go do terrible things. Look what happened in Vietnam. But now we've got an army of volunteers. They're paid a lot more. What's a volunteer like? And then, of course, we had to add the women. Put the women in the army. Oh, yes. And now we put the gays in there, too. Suicide rate is crazy because we have a failed health system, can't recognize a brain virus like claustrophobia. We have a financial system where we're fighting the banks for our money all the time. You know, we have a political system that's a joke, you know. No wonder we're not changing anything. Some of this stuff has to come crumbling down. I think the eclipse you've had on Saturn in Scorpio, especially some of the black budget stuff that you don't see. It's time to get a look at that stuff and start eliminating some. I'm told they're building a huge NSA thing up here in Pauakalo on the Big Island. They're going to transfer all those employees from Honolulu, where Snowden worked, over here where they're more isolated. And where's this money coming from, and where's it going to? And okay, use this eclipse to dig into the dark hidden places that are really making a mess out of the American dream. Well, enough. I coughed it all up. Okay, change. Let's go do the sky mirror. Maybe a little astrocartography. Eclipse in Scorpio on Saturn. You might be a little scared. You might be a little depressed. You might be a little ticked off. Good time to get sober and take a real sober look at what's going on around you. Hey, what's happening in the sky mirror? Remember, Sky Mirror Astrology, an app at the at the App Store for your iPhone, and you can get the sky mirror on that phone soon, I think. Anyway, what's important to you in this third week of November 2013? Probably Neptune. If you're on a Thursday show on the 14th, well, on the 13th, yesterday, Neptune stopped. And when Neptune stops, well, you know, it produces a lot of illusion, smoke and mirrors. It also produces a lot of inspiration. To me, you know, it's only been a year or so since I learned that Neptune had to do with actors, people who are kind of phony like Dr. Priest, artists, musicians. And here he is. And most gays are very Neptune characters, and you know, along with the Pope, the Church, hey, there's a lot of gays there too. Now, all Neptunes aren't gay, but mostly all gays are very Neptune, so they make great actors, huh? Hollywood, okay, anyway, enough of that. You had an eclipse on Saturn, and I think it's a good month to review. You got another 3 weeks of sober reflection on what's going on here. But Neptune clouds things, and it brings up the issues of the gay folks and the, you know, I'd like to bring up the issue of the oil companies and what's going on and how they're doing these ads, you know, to try to convince you it's okay to burn hydrocarbons. It's terrible, and there's a whole cadre of people that think there's lots of oil and that that it's okay to burn the hydrocarbon. It doesn't matter if you're burning gas from fracking or diesel fuel. You know, it's going to liberate the CO2. Get it straight. So we get a bunch of people here in delusion. I just noted that a bunch of people that included CEOs and religious leaders and conservatives in the South have influenced some conservatives to say, okay, let's have an immigration bill. And one of the easiest paths to immigrate to your citizenship should be if you go into the armed forces. Oh yeah, little Mexican kid, go into the armed forces for 2, 3, 4 years, get good pay, good benefits, and come out a citizen. Well, guess what the next group to go into the DOD is? You know, the saddest thing about their failure to recognize that PTSD is a suicide epidemic, a virus, comes from the dry country, the snake people, is that they're telling all these kids that get it that they're going to have it forever. It's a syndrome. And then they go on to the drugs and they're not, you know, and the rest of their life, oh yeah, I'm a PTSD injury. Truth is, you'll be out of it in, you know, 3, 6, 9 months. But for the drug thing, you can stay with that all your life and get on the dole. I don't like this. I don't like what's going on in our country. Sorry. I think we've got to take a radical turn, or we're going to hurt the world a lot. And so, like, when you got trouble with drugs, your TV set's full of the lawyers saying, call me, you had a bad drug. And the other guy, sell me, here, take this drug for your pimples. And there's a list of 20 side effects. Call your doctor. What's going on? You know, at the same time, pot's illegal, one of the best drugs around. And opium. It's crazy. Craziness of Neptune, huh? Well, that goes further than you think, but I won't get into it right now. Let's get practical. We're going to run the moon around the edge of the planetary pattern here, see what it's like. You're watching the show on Thursday, the moon's in Aries. Yesterday, day before, it was pretty electric, wasn't it? Wednesday, Thursdays now. On Friday, likely you get up in the morning, the moon's in Taurus, and there's a nice sextile to Neptune. And, this could be rainbows and Jesus angel visitations. And Neptune at his best, the moon's in sextile to it. Sensitivity, compassion is what Neptune does. I'm a great follower of Jesus. He's pure Neptune. Well, in a lot of ways. The Pope usually speaks out when Neptune stops. Did he talk yesterday? Anyway, you'll have a nice Friday morning with Neptune. The trouble is, right away, within an hour or two after the elation and the, now I see it clearly, I'm not confused anymore stuff, here comes Mercury. There's an opposition to Mercury, and there's noise, and there's kids, and the phone rings, and I gotta go, and so this beautiful moment when the water goes completely calm, it turns into a mirror, could be here Friday morning. I'd get up early. But Mercury, the wind, will come along and mess it up. Friday night is unusual. There's a trine to Venus and Pluto. Friday, yes, the 15th. Now, Venus on Pluto means the sex systems are really gone to extremes. Yes. And all the girls will be, all the young divas will be out there dressing like Pluto people, like hookers and things. And so you got to watch yourself a little bit Friday night. This is, don't push Venus too far with this. Saturday morning, you could be sorry because here's the opposition to Saturn, and you lost your money and can't find your car, and you got a terrible headache, and that's all happening here. It's about breakfast time. By lunchtime, there's a trine to Mars, and the heroes are out, and by dinner time, here's a sextile to Jupiter, and people are laughing, and there's a nice Jupiter moon thing coming up. Here's this full moon that's going to happen Saturday night. And this full moon is unusual. It's at 25 degrees of Taurus, late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, because it trines Mars and it sextiles Jupiter. And this is time for heroes to come out and fix things and do things. And, Mars especially I'm fond of, and Mars is those soldiers. I mean, those guys in the military are taking a beating. So, anyway, this full moon might help them a little bit. Maybe I'll send my PTSD letters around again. I get nice, polite things back, but you never know. You can catch the right person. So this is a full moon, Saturday night. And some people are going to go too fast and be too exuberant and overdo it. And so it's a safety hazard Saturday night. Yeah, and the square to Neptune means they're drinking too much. And this Sunday on the 17th, the music's too loud, and there's bad smells, and Neptune is not working very well. Now remember, he just stopped for you yesterday on the 13th. So here we're only 4 days off the station. About 20 days you'll have smoke and mirrors and problems with liquids and floods. Okay, yes, I'll get at that a little later, but this is a water problem. Yeah, remember what the pros say. They said, hide from wind, run from water. Well, Monday morning, here's a sextile to Uranus. The television, the internet comes through, there's brotherhood, the higher mind, little intellectual analysis helps a lot after the total confusion of Sunday and the full moon and the square to Neptune. Murky, cloudy, where are we going? Get out the GPS Monday morning. You'll make it just fine. Late Monday night, early Tuesday, here's a square to Mars. Everybody's ticked off. They're going too fast. There's just too much anger and impatience. Ask yourself what you're protecting. Maybe you can get out of it a bit. Jupiter is sextile Mars. He's supposed to be fixing things. You ever see somebody fix something and be angry? You ever see a fireman get angry at a fire? No. Anyway, hard to keep the temper in check Monday night, Tuesday morning. Moon in Gemini. On Wednesday, the moon shifts into Cancer, and there's a trine to Neptune. And by golly, here we have another opportunity for the water to go calm and for there to be a mirror. Benjamin Franklin used to amaze people because he could take a shot glass of oil and put it on the king's private lake over there, and in an hour the whole lake would be like a mirror. And that oil will actually spread out 1 molecule deep. You could calculate, yes, how big a molecule is by checking out how much Ben put in and how big the area of the lake was. He never did it, but anyway, Neptune spreads like that. It's kind of, sticky stuff, oily stuff. And you've already had a couple of weeks of it, and it just peaked out yesterday, okay? Watch out for the oil, watch out for the liquids. You ever notice how a little bit of oil on the water, you get these beautiful colors, like priests, like doctors, like drugs, like artists, like they do these colors. They're just on the surface, folks. What's underneath can be pollution. Yes, get rid of the GMOs. Preserve Hawaii. Save our major flora and fauna. We got a job to do for the rest of the world. That's the way I feel about it. Where did I get lost? Oh, here's the trine to Neptune. It's Wednesday morning. Yeah, it's the 20th. And I would try to do a little meditation here. Now, if you wait too late, it's going to be a problem because there's a glitch here Wednesday night. Here's the opposition to Pluto and the square to Uranus, and the batteries failed, and there's shakiness and whirlwinds, and this is the old Uranus square Pluto. How much does the Department of Defense spend with the black budget? Here's Mercury trining at the imp. More information could come out here about some of this stuff. We had a radiation peak in Hawaii on October 24th, just for a day. Very suspicious. What's going on? On the same day, these Saturn characters called a NRC, Nuclear Regulatory Commission, gave the Army the right to take 250 pounds of depleted uranium over to Pohakaloa to mess with. I thought they promised us that there would never be any DU used there. I remember the promise. Well, so much for Saturn and Scorpio. Anyway, here it is again. Anybody has any information about that October 24th? There was also an airplane flying from California to Hawaii. In the middle of the flight, a guy had his meter on. Son of a gun. Started going off. 35,000 feet. There was the radiation. Woo! That rings alarm bells, doesn't it? Eek, plutonium, radiation, Pluto. I think of it also as viruses, epidemics. I had the PTSD thing for like 9 months myself, and I know whereof I speak. And I think it's quite horrible to tell somebody once you've got it, it's a syndrome, you're always going to have it. That provokes suicide. And so do the drugs these psychiatrists are giving them. I think they're probably the worst of the whole doctor trip, these psychiatrists. Passing out the drugs. And the guys who are in the Army, oh boy, they're suffering. The DOD just leaves wreckage wherever it goes. Covers our island with lead and depleted uranium, and dumps stuff in the ocean. And wow, the Pentagon is the largest office building in the world. And the DOD, the largest company in the world. And the most polluting, and the one that's exempt from so much stuff. Oh, enough. So Wednesday night, alarm bells. Okay, a little sense of panic and aloneness. On Thursday morning, the moon's still in Cancer on the 21st. You start feeling better. There's a trine to Saturn. Things settle down. Oh, there's a practical side to this. And by Thursday night, the moon goes by Jupiter. And it's quite nice. There's some laughs here. And there's a sextile to Mars. It comes up Friday morning. You might understand this business here a little better about professional armies. Nobody's ever done it before. And, I think the Romans had a professional army, but those guys didn't really spend a lot of time doing army stuff. They built roads and aqueducts. They were builders. The Roman army was professional builders. That's what Mars is supposed to be. Anyway, they made use of them, and I guess that's how they kept their army going. We can't, folks. You want to give up your Social Security so we have a nice big armed forces terrorizing the world? Now you'll see some truth of it all. Thursday and Friday, moon in Cancer. Friday in the middle of the day, the moon goes into Leo. There's a trine to the sun. I think we understand now what's going on. And there could be even a plan for him then. Moon in Leo. On Saturday morning, between breakfast and lunch, here's a trine to Uranus. And there's higher mind here, and there's communication. Here's the internet. God bless the internet. Yeah. This is a saving grace of the Aquarian age, it appears. Here I thought it would be public access. Well, you can get the show on YouTube, you know, for a little while yet. Anyway. Saturday night, the moon's still in Leo. And here's kind of a weird place that's not too much fun, because Mercury has moved up here and hit Saturn, and you're going to have a lot of depressive talk and a lot of conservative mumbo-jumbo, and you're going to see it Saturday night. And hopefully you'll just see right through it. You'll see some guy, you know, wrap himself in the flag declaring we got to keep America safe. Uh-oh. Where's the money? I think that's what it's really about. Eisenhower was right. Now we've militarized the police. Where is this going to end anyway? I don't know. Do you remember before I was telling you radiation is so easily measured that they can't get away with stuff anymore? Well, here, check this out.
Okay, YouTubers, this here is an update to the video that I did this morning in reference to Hawaii getting radiated. This here is a brand new chart, okay? And it's showing that the levels are currently at about 145. All right, and that's what the numbers over here are showing. 145. We're getting zapped again. We got to get this information out. I mean, what is going on? How come nobody's reporting this? I mean, look at this. That is absolutely nuts. So we need to get on the phones and start making calls. I've tried to make a few calls myself, and I'm waiting for confirmation on this.
I can't find it now, but Michael found another piece that had to do with somebody on an airplane who measured this cloud of radiation at 35,000 feet. He was 2 hours out of LA on the way to Hawaii, and there was this high reading suddenly in the airplane. What's going on? Somebody made a bad stink. This radiation thing is nothing to fool with, folks. It's a pollution of a whole different nature. Lasts thousands of years. Whoever's playing with these things, you know, the governments are covering something up, aren't they? Yes, I know every GPS satellite has a gadget on it to measure atomic bomb explosions and stuff. What's going on? Nobody's talking. NSA secrecy. Okay, a look at the astrocartography of these lunations. Here's your eclipse at 11:15. Saturn's only at 2.5 degrees off, see? So let's look at the astrocartography of it, because you and I know now that yesterday for you, this planet is acting up. He just stationed. There's the full moon on November 17th. Here's the way it looks in Hawaii. And this is a full moon where Neptune could be acting up a lot. And, well, let's look at the astrocartography. Okay, here's the new moon eclipse, November 3rd. And you know, the bottom of the chart, the IC, is your home. That's a dangerous place. And the descendant, the other people that scares you, is a bad place. Well, here's Neptune at the bottom of the chart. And this is like flooding in the homes. Yes, and there it is, going through Miami and up through here. So this coastline, folks, is in for some flooding. Yep, sorry. Okay, here's the other side of it. Here's Neptune on the midheaven, public flooding and oil spills and such. And you can see the Neptune line running right down through here. Okay, here's a full moon. It squares Neptune, doesn't like it too much. And where are the sensitive places? Well, here is Neptune on the descendant running up through here and through southern Japan too. Okay, here's Neptune at the bottom of the chart, you know, flooding on the ground in the home. There it's going up. I don't know where this is. This could be oil country or, you know, I don't know what. But there it is. When you see Neptune on the descendant, everybody's scared of Neptune. That kind of indicates to me there might have been some earthquake and everybody's waiting for tsunamis here. Okay, I went back to the new moon November 3rd. This eclipse on Saturn, there it is on the rising sign, indicating VIPs, CEOs may be dying, suicides, you know, stuff like that down between these lines here. Yeah. Okay, here's this nasty group, the eclipse and Saturn running up through here. This is Afghanistan, huh? Doggone. I tend to think of this as a place where, you know, this is other people dying and things. Eclipses kill things. That's what it comes down to. So these are dangerous times. And you know, it's kind of easy to tell if your chart is sensitive to this Neptune thing. If you've got some planets at 2 degrees, especially of Virgo, Sag, Gemini, then you may be spilling things. If you're spilling things, small liquids, you got to watch the bigger ones. The gasoline, you know, the oil, the deception, theft, self-aggrandizement, alcohol, drugs. The more you spill things, the more you could be in trouble with Neptune. It can be very inspiring, but man, you can feel totally lost and even not know what you were doing the night before. You know, come fill the cup, huh? Oh. Hey, your path in life is already paved. You picked the path. Your free will is in your attitude. Is it half full? Is it half empty? Adjust your attitude. That's where the free will is. They've been lying to you all this time.